The girl had just turned 13 and was stunningly beautiful and delicate. Even her brother couldn't help but be amazed by her perfect face and body. However, to reclaim the throne, he decided to sell her to the chief of a barbarian tribe. The chief arrived late with his subordinates when the first time they met.
Do you see how long his hair is? When Dothraki are defeated in combat, they cut off their braid so the whole world can see their shame. Khal Drogo has never been defeated. He's a savage, of course, but he's one of the finest killers alive. And you will be his queen.
Come forward, my dear.
The girl stepped forward. The chief took one look at her and, satisfied, immediately went back to prepare for the wedding. The brother was discussing the wedding arrangements with the matchmaker, but the girl was unwilling.
I don't want to be his queen. I want to go home.
So do I. I want us both to go home, but they took it from us. So tell me, sweet sister, how do we go home?
I don't know.
We go home with an army, with Khal Drogo's army. I would let his whole tribe, all 40,000 men and their horses too, if that's what it took.
Khaleesi had no choice but to attend the wedding as planned. The barbarian wedding was bloody, brutal, and lewd. People danced a horse-riding dance to celebrate. The fights and injuries only excited them more, making Khaleesi feel very uncomfortable. At this moment, a knight approached and gave her a civilized gift. Then he told her that he had once served her father and would now protect her. Khaleesi was very pleased to have such a civilized and loyal guard protecting her. Then, the matchmaker presented a bridal gift, 3 dragon eggs. Seeing those eggs, she reflected on the past. It turned out the girl's true identity was a princess of the Targaryen dynasty. 17 years ago, her father was killed by Jaime Lannister. The Targaryen dynasty, which had ruled the continent of Westeros for 282 years, fell. Since then, Khaleesi, with her brother, had been exiled overseas. According to legend, the Targaryens were the masters of dragons, capable of breeding and controlling them. However, dragons had been extinct for hundreds of years. No one present had ever seen a real one. For many years, Khaleesi and her brother had both wanted to return to their homeland, so they chose to marry into the barbarian tribe. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the girl followed the chief to a horse. The white horse was a gift from him, intended to be her mount.
She's beautiful. Sir Jorah, I don't know how to say thank you in Dothraki.
There is no word for thank you in Dothraki.
The chief picked up the girl in his arms, and the two of them went to the seaside together. Amidst tears and pain, Khaleesi completed her wedding. From that day on, she was forced to endure painful horse riding every day, suffering greatly. It even became difficult for her to dismount and walk. One day, Khaleesi learned from her maid about a husband-taming technique that could please man and lessen her own suffering. In the tutorial, the maid explained the first step of the husband-taming technique is to look into the man's eyes. The second step is to ignite his desire for conquest.
Men want what they've never had. Very good, Khaleesi. Out there, he is the mighty Khal. But in this tent, he belongs to you.
I don't think that this is the Dothraki way.
If he wanted the Dothraki way, why did he marry you?
With this, the girl successfully won over the chief. Not long after, she became pregnant, now carrying the chief's son. Khaleesi's words were more important. However, her brother was not pleased. He angrily threw the messenger maid aside, furiously yelling at her for daring to order him to attend the barbarian's feast. He then grabbed the feast attire from the table and threw it at her.
This stinks of manure! All of it!
When she tried to explain, he slapped her to the ground.
You are a horse-lord slut, and now you've woken the dragon.
I am a Khaleesi of the Dothraki. I am the wife of the great Carl, and I carry his son inside me. The next time you raise a hand to me will be the last time you have
the drunken brother
hands.
suddenly appeared and started to cause trouble. He drew his sword and pointed it directly at Khaleesi's belly, threatening the chief to give him an army to help him reclaim his homeland, or he would kill his son. The chief pretended to agree, but then, in a swift move, crowned him with a scorching hot crown.
Daddy, please!
Despite the brother desperate pleas for Khaleesi to spare his life, she remained indifferent. She knew her brother was a lost cause and incapable of taking her home. On another day, the Dothraki raided a village as usual, looting everything in sight. The kind-hearted girl ordered them not to harm the women, but one of the chief's henchmen reported her actions. The chief sided with the mother of his son. Of course, displeased, the henchman challenged Khal. Though Khal won, he was wounded. Khaleesi wanted a witch to heal him, but Khal dismissed it as a minor scratch. Unexpectedly, the next day, he fell from his horse as the wound became infected. The witch, upon examining him, said he wouldn't survive the night. Ser Jorah urged Khaleesi to flee, as a fallen chief could no longer command his followers. Unwilling to leave, Khaleesi ordered the witch to save him. The witch agreed to use blood magic to heal her husband, but the cost was a life for a life. The child in her womb in exchange for her husband. Khaleesi agreed. They brought a horse and used its blood as a conduit for dark magic. Outside the tent, the henchman resisted the use of dark magic. Khaleesi wanted to stop him but couldn't. Ser Jorah stood up and fought for her. Then he carried Khaleesi, who was in labor, into the tent. The next day, Khaleesi woke up and was told that her son was a monstrosity and died right after birth. And what's worse, although the chief was revived, he remained in a vegetative state, neither alive nor dead. In agony, Khaleesi chose to end her husband's life herself by smothering him. With the chief dead, most of the Dothraki army deserted, leaving only the old, weak, and injured behind. Overnight, Khaleesi lost both her husband and son, leaving her in deep sorrow. At her husband's funeral, she placed the dragon eggs beside his body and ordered the untrustworthy witch to be tied to a stake. She then lit a torch and walked into the blazing fire. By the next day, everything had turned to ashes. Only Khaleesi emerged, reborn from the flames, with real dragons by her side. Everyone bowed down before her. She led the weak in the old to Qarth, seeking refuge. Qarth, a city ruled by 13 wealthy merchants. They did not believe in the existence of real dragons, and demanded to see them first. Khaleesi refused. One of the 13 humiliated her, then turned and walked away. Furious, Khaleesi shouted,
13! When my dragons are grown, we will take back what was stolen from me, and destroy those who have wronged me. We will lay waste to armies and burn cities to the ground.
The bald man, admiring her courage, stepped forward to vouch for her, allowing her to enter the city. Under protection, Khaleesi lived a comfortable life. The dragons also learned to breathe fire. One day, the bald man took her to a warehouse and promised to help her reclaim the throne. with the treasures inside, on the condition that she marry him. Khaleesi hesitated. When she returned to home, she found the dragons had been stolen. The three set off to find the dragons, but due to the warlock's magic, Khaleesi entered the castle alone. As soon as she stepped in, she saw actually her husband and son she had longed for. But it was all an illusion. The warlock bound Khaleesi and reveled in his triumph, but he forgot one thing: dragons breathe fire.
Dracarys.
Khaleesi's command, the warlock was burned to death. The chains turned to ash. After rescuing her dragons, Khaleesi found the bald man, only to discover her handmaiden had betrayed her, and was sleeping with him. And Khaleesi opened the treasury, only to find it completely empty. Turns out, the bald man had been trying to marry her for nothing. Khaleesi locked them inside the vault without mercy. Then, using the wealth of the 13, she bought a ship and set sail for home, to reclaim the throne. Apart from dragons, Khaleesi need armies. Khaleesi arrived in Astapor, on the shores of Slaver's Bay. It was said that here, one could buy the Unsullied army. The slave master claimed the Unsullied felt no pain, feared no death, and were absolutely loyal. Khaleesi was skeptical, so the slave master stepped forward to demonstrate.
My master points out that men don't need.
The slave master urged Khaleesi to make a quick decision, as many buyers were interested in the Unsullied. The next day, Khaleesi declared she wanted to buy them all. The slave master mocked her, saying she couldn't possibly afford it.
I have dragons. I'll give you one.
Sir Jorah immediately stepped in to stop her. Khaleesi shot him a sharp glare.
3 dragon.
1.
2.
1.
After some bargaining, Khaleesi traded her largest dragon for 8,000 Unsullied and the translator, Missandei. Jorah tried once again to dissuade her, but Khaleesi shut him down with an iron will.
You're both here to advise me. I value your advice, but if you ever question me in front of strangers again, you'll be advising someone else. Is that understood?
At that moment, Khaleesi had fully embraced her queenly authority. On the way back, Khaleesi asked Missandei, "You may starve, you may fall ill, you may be killed. Do you still wish to follow me?"
Valar Morghulis. Yes. All men must die. But we are not men.
As promised, Khaleesi handed over her dragon. In exchange for the whip of control, she then tested the Unsullied, ordering them to take 2 steps forward. As expected, they obeyed whoever held the whip. Meanwhile, the slave master struggled to control the dragon. Khaleesi had finally put to use the lesson she learned from the bald man. Getting what she want for nothing, she turned and commanded the Unsullied to kill every soldier holding a whip. Then, she ordered her dragon to burn the slave master alive. Once everything was settled, she mounted a white horse and proclaimed to the Unsullied, "You are born slaves. From this day forth, you are free men. You may leave if you wish. I swear no harm will come to you. But as free men, will you fight for me?" At first, there was silence. Then, a single soldier was in response. One by one, the entire army followed. Not a single soldier chose to leave. At last, Khaleesi had an army of her own. She cast aside the whip, choosing to rule not with power, but with loyalty. Then, Khaleesi led the Unsullied to Yunkai, to meet with the slave masters. She demanded he free all slaves, or suffer the same fate as Karth. The master was furious and called upon his allies, a ruthless mercenary company that would do anything for the right price.
You're the mother of dragons. I swear I to you once in a pleasure house in Leeds.
Mind your tongue.
Why? She licks like she was born to do it.
Khaleesi did not get angry. Instead, she gave them 2 days to decide whether they would help free the slaves. Before leaving, Dario gave her an admiring look. That night, a mysterious man snuck into Khaleesi's tent. He removed his helmet. It was Dario. he presented the severed heads of the other 2 captains, knelt on one knee, and swore his loyalty.
My sword is yours, my life is yours, my heart is yours.
That night, they spent a delightful evening. After taking Yunkai, Khaleesi set off for Meereen. As they arrived at the city gates, a warrior peed in provocation, mocking the Unsullied as a eunuch army. The nobles on the city walls burst into laughter. Daario stepped forward and volunteered to fight for Khaleesi. The rider charged at full speed. Daario, however, stood his ground, completely unfazed. Khaleesi looked concerned. Just as the charging rider bore down on him, Daario calmly pulled out a small dagger and took him down in an instant. After finishing his opponent, he even threw a flirtatious wink at Khaleesi. The nobles atop the city walls, humiliated and enraged, ordered their archers to fire. But the arrows fell far short of their target. In response, Daario peed right back at them. Khaleesi then called on the slaves within the city to rise up in rebellion, catapulting shackles over the walls as a message. One by one, the heavy chains crashed to the ground. The slaves looked at them and felt the stirrings of hope. At night, Grey Worm leads a group to secretly infiltrate the city of Meereen. He brings weapons to the unarmed slaves.
Valar Mogulis. Idinan Kizi Ejim, Meritovi Ejiderve Samovita Himeglezor Espobilma.
And just like that, Khaleesi takes Meereen, without losing a single soldier. But a letter arrives exposing Yora's past as a spy. Upon learning the truth, Khaleesi is furious. But remembering the journey they have shared, she decides only to exile him. Khaleesi loses a great general, and the rebels in Meereen seize the opportunity to cause chaos. First, they use seduction to lure the Unsullied soldiers. Then, one by one, they kill them. After that, they launch an uprising. During the battle, the Unsullied suffer heavy losses. Enraged, Khaleesi summons the slave masters and locks them in the dragon's lair, where they are burned alive. But violence cannot solve political problems. After calming down, Khaleesi chooses to compromise. She decides to reopen the fighting pits and prepares to marry the noble leader. The fighting pits are a traditional spectacle in Meereen, where warriors battle to the death for honor and fame. However, the rebels have long been lying in wait. As the games begin, they launch their attack. Khaleesi and her allies are outnumbered. Amidst the chaos, she closes her eyes in despair.